One of the things that confuses me in particular is the number of advertisements which come on by various insurance companies, each one claiming to the best and the most effective and the most simplified procedures. Can we make this process a little more simpler, because it's very confusing. When you open the electronic channel, you see the number of advertisements that come on the various insurance companies, each one saying that, have you checked up this, have you checked up that at all. But for a common man it becomes very confusing. And what happens is, when an insurance agent comes to you to sell a policy, I find that seldom is he really well versed with the various options that are available. And he is not able to tell you the risks that are also involved in the policy. So what are all the shortcomings, what are all the drawbacks. So basically what happens for the common man is, what he requires is a level of comfort. And insurance, as you will all agree, is a very low return investment, extremely low return investment. If probably I had put that same amount 10 years back into the financial institutions, my growth will be much higher. But this is an insurance because you're looking at a contingency which may or may not happen, maybe old age, health, or whatever it is. So I do not know whether we can work out a plan by which the investment, where the returns for the investment made is made a little more attractive, because it is very, very unattractive. If you compare investment insurance with other returns, one doesn't feel like going in for an insurance company, honestly. And at this age, for example, when people like me, when we debit office and you do get an amount which you would like to invest, and you look at the various options, you find the insurance is probably the last option that you would look at, because your returns are very, very poor. It's an insurance. You will say it's an insurance. Supposing something happens to you tomorrow, you will get back the money, etc., etc. But there again, the complexities of refunds are extremely difficult to face. I quite appreciate you have problems. You have to go through various verification procedures, various things, etc. I remember in one of the locations where I was working, where we had insured a policeman against the Naxalite killings, etc. And we found that a whole lot of them remained unpaid. Till I had to take it up with Delhi and say, will you please, ask the finance minister saying, will you please do something for this? Because it's demoralizing the forces if they don't get back their money, if the widow or the dependent does not get the insurance money that we have been promising them. Because procedures are so long. You want thumb impression, you want finger impression, you want fingerprint, you want this print, that print. You know, what happens when you come to sell the policy, it is like, you know, when you go to a shop initially, if you want to sell a ware, you know, he says, "Aaye, Didi ji, aaye, bhaiya, aap aaye, badi khushi ho rahi hai aapko dekh ke, ye wo and all," and he'll sell you the product. And thereafter, supposing you find it doesn't fit you properly, and you have to return, then he'll say, "Nahi, aaj nahi hoga, it is only done once in a month, or on this month, it's be a discount of 20%, 30%, all the stories are given." Insurance becomes like that. When you come to sell the insurance policy to us, it's all nice, sweet and honey. But when a claim comes, procedures are elaborate. How do we simplify this? How do we get out of this mismatch? This is where the comfort level really becomes a problem. The comfort level of going in for insurance suffers because of this. I'm sure it's a very difficult process. I quite agree. It is a very difficult problem. So, and the other thing, as I told you, can we have a code of ethics in advertisement of insurance companies? Can you come upon a commonly agreed upon code of ethics saying that this will be and nobody will really speak too much of untruth or sort of over advertise their policies? Can we come to that code of ethics? That will make things easier, and that will remove the level of confusion that exists in a common man's mind about what you would get back in returns, etc., etc. And you find a number of electronic advertisements. I'm sure all of you are watching the TV, and I do watch one of the insurance advertisements, particularly comes, it fascinates me. It says, "Aapne sab kuch padha, ye padha, wo padha, ye padha, padha." I mean, nobody has that time. In fact, I don't read anything when it comes. Ultimately, it says it's all written in the policy. And such minute letters that I think you probably have to wear a magnifying glass to find out where this particular clause comes in. And that will be your protection. It is your insurance. Basically, you are insuring yourself. You are not insuring me. Because you have that clause and say, "Sir, sorry, sir, according to this clause, sir, you know, the liability will not come on us." So you are insuring. In fact, I find insurance companies insure themselves more than the insured. I mean, this is a problem. I think you need to get out of this mentality. You are insuring me, which means you are supposed to give me a benefit. I quite agree that yours is a commercial enterprise. You have to make money. You're not running a charity service. You're not running a charity home that you'll start doling out free money to all of us. I mean, I quite understand there's a commerce, but can we have a code of ethics in this commercial activity of insurance? I think it is time that we really deliberate on this. how do you really want to put in a common policy which will sort of be across the sectors? For example, medical insurance. Of course, right now Mr. Srinivasan did mention to me that you have a cashless policies which are coming. I mean, it's very good if you have a cashless policy, but otherwise if you do the normal policies of health insurance, the claims are very difficult to get, because then you will say this test is not, it does not apply to this test, it does not apply to this examination, and when you go to hospital, I can't tell the man saying, look, I am entitled to only the following treatment, rest of it is I am not insured, so please stop with me. So he'll open my stomach, he'll open my heart and then say, sorry sir, it does not apply, so I leave the heart open. Can that happen? I mean, can you not make a policy which will be more holistic, particularly in case of healthcare? And you're talking of the senior citizens. I'm very happy that you're now taking an initiative for senior citizens, giving them something for the senior citizens. Well, I think while your initiative is extremely welcome and it's good, you must please appreciate the senior citizens have a problem in terms of that payment, in terms of returns, in terms of explaining to them at all. So I think you need to make it a more people-friendly, senior citizen-friendly policy objective. I mean, it can't be a normal policy which you sell to a college-going student or an youngster or a corporate executive. Senior citizens take time, and you have to give them that comfort level that look, it is going to come. And when the event does happen, I think the claims must be settled fast. Because you must understand that when somebody suffers a casualty in a home, the home is completely in tatters. And at that time, if you sort of increase the problems by saying it, it becomes very difficult. That's one thing which I would really suggest, sir. And I think, of course, your old age initiative probably will take a few more years. But what happens to senior citizens like me today who are left without a policy? I mean, can you please go back also and see what you'll do for people who are senior citizens even today? Forget about people like you will probably take a number of more years to become senior citizens. But there are a number of us who are as it is senior citizens and suffering. Will you please, Mr. Vijayan, will you please look into that? I think you'll fall into a net very soon. So you please, I think you need to go into this aspect also as to how exactly are you going to do it. And health, I think, is another one very, very important thing. On the health sector, I think we need to do something very, very fast. This is something which is hurting. I was just talking to Mr. Vijayan and Srinivasan a little while ago, when I said, well, you have one segment of society which is to some extent taken care of because they fall below the poverty line. There is the other segment of society which is a high-end society for whom insurance does not. But that middle class segment is today left unattended. And it is the bulge is really in the middle class. I mean, if you look at the pyramid, actually the bulge is really in the middle class, and that bulge is largely left unattended. I think while you need to address the rural masses, you need to address the poor, you need to address the concerns of everybody, I think please don't leave away the middle class. Because you must understand that the vast population is the middle class population. And that is where the healthcare, for example, hurts very seriously. Or I think like agriculture, when we do take crop insurance, I think when we take it, I think we should explain what are all the risks involved. Thereafter you come and say, you know, the area must be 5 acres or 6 acres, or the village is a unit, the panchayat is a unit, the gram is a unit, the village is a unit. I mean, you come out with various explanations and then the payment gets delayed. Ultimately, a farmer requires his returns immediately when insurance is done. When the crop is destroyed and if it's going to take a long, long time for his insurance return to come, it's going to be very difficult. So one of the things that is required is speedy disposal of insurance claims. I think you need to evolve a mechanism by which you will, particularly because ultimately, sir, you must understand, it is like not that all the time you're going to pay your claims. Many times people probably may not require that claim to be refunded at all. They may be accepting the case of life insurance. But those cases where people's claims have to be settled, they require that money immediately. There's no meaning in you are thereafter taking a few years, by which time that man also will probably go pass off, and then his successor, and then you will get a succession certificate, death certificate, and all these other certificates, and so everything will be over. I think you need to evolve a policy by which insurance claims are settled very, very speedily. I quite appreciate you have a lot of problems. It is not very easy. It's easy for me to say this in my speech. I quite understand procedures had to be taken, because otherwise I think you will be probably cheated out, and ultimately you will find that your company itself will have to be insured against such losses. I quite appreciate that. But at the same time, so make insurance a comfortable process for people to get the refunds, make the returns more attractive. At the moment your returns are extremely poor, because when you talk in terms of income tax returns also, I mean, if you take one policy, your income tax is already taken care of. So after it does not even give you an income tax benefit. So if you want me to benefit from the insurance policy, I think you should make it more attractive. And the people who come to sell your policies, I think should be a little more well versed in the various risks involved in the policy, and explain clearly that under the following circumstances, sir, your money is gone. You forget it, you are insured but the money is gone. I think that thing has to come out clearly, not after the calamity is over, then you come out with your clauses, your insurance clauses. So as I told you, insurance is not for you, it is for us. So please bear that in mind. I do hope you will do a good job, and your new initiatives are really interesting, and I think a lot more of publicity is called for on your policy.